GM. Today I want to talk about failure and a reframing of it because you probably view it the wrong way. So, thinking negative thoughts, fearing failure, fearing that you're inadequate, that you're going to fuck it up, that it always seems like things are going right for a little while and then you sabotage it, it goes wrong, right? The perfect example, obviously I'm a trader. The perfect example, we've all been there. You're having a good run, and not just a hot streak or a lucky streak of trades. You're genuinely analyzing the market well. You're in tune with it. Your analysis is on point. You're seeing setups, they're playing out. You've got the general direction of the market right. You make money. And then out of nowhere, bang, you hit a period of chop, or you hit a few days, or you hit a single day, or you hit a single trade, and you lose a whack out of your account. 20% of the account gone. And everything you did before all feels like it was for nothing. You could have grinded for a month to make that 20% and then just wipe it out in a day. Trading is the most difficult thing you will ever do, but also the most rewarding. And not just financially, but as a person. You will learn so much about yourself, and you will develop skills you didn't even know could be developed. Humility, which isn't a skill, but it's essential. The market will humble you. You'll learn how little you know, but how that's a good thing. Gives you more opportunity to learn and grow and improve. You'll learn whether you'll either learn it naturally or learn it by force. The importance of risk management. You'll learn how to keep an open mind. But that's all going to come through brutally hard, painful lessons. One way or another. You can either go through the pain of slow boredom, or you can go through the fast, brutal pain of loss. Let me explain. One way or another, you're going to realize that the market moves slow. Setups take time. You have to have patience. You have to take a large number of trades. You have to have a system. You have to have a process. You have to understand what you're doing. You have to manage risk. You have to size your positions correctly. And you have to allow your account to compound. You're going to learn all that one way or another. The first way you can learn it is the slow, brutally painful way of learning cheap. Dollar trading. When I say slow and brutally painful, I mean it feels like you're not going anywhere because you're doing $1 trades, $2 trades. You're doing 100 of them. It's like, what am I doing? Like, because you feel like you're not making money. But in that time, you're going to learn everything you need to know. You're going to see insane crashes, insane pumps. You're going to be short and it's going to pump massively. You're going to be long and it's going to dump massively. And you're going to realize for free how painful that could have been if you were one of these leveraged apes that's wrecking themselves on a daily basis. You only have to go and look at the open interest chart for Bybit on Bitcoin on any given day. See the wild swings to see how many millions and billions of dollars are getting lost by idiots. That's the path you should take. It's better to feel like it's slow and boring and painful, as in like death by 1,000 cuts painful. It's better to feel that way and learn all those lessons than it is to go really fast, make a bunch of money, and then wreck it all, and then go again, and wreck it all, and go again, and wreck it all. And then taking these big hits where you see those big pumps when you're short, the big dumps when you're long, except you're fully sized, no stop loss, bad emotional control, and you learn through Ruthless market pain. So there's no pain like the market. And that all leads back to the topic of failure. Every single time this happens, you're going to feel like a failure. It's just a natural human instinct. You know the way whenever you make money, right? You've all probably here, either currently in your trading you're making money, or before you joined here, you probably gambled instead of trading, right? You thought you were trading, but you're just gambling. But you had a little streak, right? You made money. Felt great, didn't it? You felt smart, didn't you? You didn't feel like a failure then, did you? You had that glow. You had that confidence. You're like, I've made $500 this week. I've made $1,000 this week. I've had 3 long trades. I know where the market's going. I'm feeling it's good. You know that feeling, right? That's also irrational. Isn't it crazy? Because when you get smacked, take that big hit, and you feel like a failure, you feel like your system doesn't work, you feel like your emotions are not in control, you feel like, just in general, you're not cut out for it. Right? And yet, that's how you could feel on Friday when you've lost 20% of your account. The following Tuesday, you could have a good trade on Monday, 2 good trades on Tuesday. Next thing, you're Warren Buffett again. You have to be mindful of these emotions. That's why it's so important to keep an emotional journal. Not some soppy bullshit like you're writing to your ex-girlfriend who left you. An emotional journal, a log of your trading emotions during the day, every single day. The fear, the greed, the pain, the anguish, the disbelief, the depression, the euphoria, the elation, all of it every single fucking day. Because what you should be able to analyze and recognize is that those days where you're high as a kite and you feel like you're winning and it's all great, that's euphoria. That's not a real feeling. That's not a permanent feeling. You shouldn't feel that way. It's going to mean revert back to baseline. So you shouldn't get too high when you have those winners. Similarly, those crushing, brutal, depressing days where you feel like a failure because you lost too much money, or your system didn't work, or the market was against you. Again, that's like fear. In the market, extreme fear. That's when the market bottoms. That's when your emotions bottom. That's when your emotional equity curve hits its low. That's also not real. That's temporary. You will return back to the mean. So you know this when you hear me talk, that you want to buy in fear, sell in greed, right? The bull market principle. Everyone knows that for the market, but they think that that's a price on a chart. No, it's not. It's you. It's your emotions. How many times have you had that brutal failure day, right? That day where you lost a lot of money, where you felt like a failure. How many times have you had that day? And then you had to check out, you lost your money, you liquidated, whatever. You had to leave the market for a few days, and then the market bounced. The market rallied. How many times have you had that feeling where you're just winning and winning and winning and you're printing money? And then that ends, usually with a brutal loss and a check from the market of reality, but also it was actually the top of the market. You're not special. You sold the bottom and you bought the top. Right? That's all you did. Your emotions were the same. A streak of trades, winning or losing. A streak of winners when the market goes up. A streak of losers when the market goes down. It's market psychology. So if you feel like a failure, don't. Now, what you do have to do is, if your failure is self-inflicted, meaning you took your hard-earned money and you gambled it. You lost 20% of your account when on any given day you should never be able to lose more than 2. You lost 20. Okay, you know that's the wrong thing to do. So instead of saying you're a failure, saying that you don't have any abilities, saying that you're never going to make it, feeling that anxiety, that doubt, instead of that, Focus on what you can do and what you do best. You have a skill. Maybe your skill is backtesting. Maybe your skill is building systems live. Maybe your skill is execution. Maybe your skill is technical analysis. Maybe your skill is market sentiment. Maybe your skill is momentum analysis. Whatever that is that you've built over the years. Maybe your skill is compounding. And you're probably going to have several skills. You have to identify those, and when you have those bad days, when you feel like a failure, when you feel like you can't make it, remind yourself of what you're good at, go back to that, and focus on that. The failures come when you stray from your path. That's why I tell everyone to be a systematic trader. No negative outcomes can come from somebody who journals their thoughts and emotions every day, analyzes the market every morning, plans out every single trade with a full thesis, takes screenshots of each different time frame, annotates the chart with what they're looking at, why they're considering a trade, thinks about the trade before they enter, waits for price to come to a level, enters the trade with a limit order, uses a fixed, preset, defined amount of risk, and then allows the trade to play out. Nothing bad can come from that. Everyone knows that's the right process. Every time you fail, it's because you break that process in one of those areas. So just remind yourself, this is the process. When I do what I'm supposed to do, I win. Now, if you do all the right things and consistently lose for 3 years, trading's probably not for you. If you do all the right things and you consistently lose for 6 months, that's fine. That's just part of the learning process. After a certain point, you have to say, I'm genuinely doing all the right things and it's not working, then maybe you have to do something else. But I have never met somebody who couldn't do it. I have never met a trader, and I've coached tens of thousands. I've never met someone who, if they followed the correct process for at least 1 or 2 years, couldn't turn themselves into a profitable trader. Not a millionaire overnight, a profitable trader. Never met one. Any of them who said they could, oh, I did everything right. I then went in, I quizzed them, they were talking shit. They were using 10% risk. They were only analysing every other trade. They weren't keeping their emotional journal. You have to do it all, every single day. There is no alternative. But that's the beauty of it, because that makes it easy, right? Isn't it just a case of writing down those key things you need to do? I need to analyze the market in the morning. I need to keep my emotional journal throughout the day. I need to set up every single trade the same way. I have to follow my process. I have to take a screenshot of the high time frame, medium time frame, and the data, whatever it's going to be. I have to execute per my rules. I have to use a set amount of risk on each trade. If you just have all that written down, set there, that's your process. You can't have a big failure if you follow that. You can't. You can't lose 20% of your account if you follow that. So, even if you follow all that for 2 years and then you have a big blow up and you lose a bit of money, you can still come back and say, I'm not a failure. I just didn't follow my process. And you can go back, you can reset, you can reorient yourself and look at that again and say, yes, every time I follow every one of my rules, I do well. And so all you need to do from there is focus on making that more consistent. Meaning, if you set up all these rules and processes and systems and start to do them, everyone can do it. It feels great at the start. It's really good. You do it for a few weeks. Then bang, something happens. You slip up. Okay, we're only human. As long as the time between slip-ups is getting longer, right? So if you follow a plan for a month, then you fail on day 31. Okay, then you follow a plan for 3 months, and then you fail. Okay, great, that was better. You went 3 months. Then you go 6 months. Then you go a whole year, right? So that's one way you're getting better. Look, mistakes will happen, but they're getting less and less and less frequent. That's good, that's important. Also, this should naturally happen over time. Each time there's a failure or a fuck up or a mistake, it's less impactful on your net worth. Meaning, I'll tell you from experience, when I first started trading, when I would blow up, and I've blown up many times, right? As in, what you call a failure. Not always losing my entire net worth, but a failure, right? 20% or more of the portfolio gone in a day or in a couple of days. I've done that multiple times. But when I first started, it was literally 100% of my portfolio gone. And I would have to go back to the drawing board. I have to go back and save up more money. And there's nothing like losing everything you have to fucking set you back into your process, right? Because you've no other choice. But you don't want to get into that habit, because then you can never build momentum. But the next time I did it, I also blew up my whole account. Then I went quite a long time. And next time I fucked up, I lost about 40-50%. And then I went for a good while, a year or more. And then I blew up about 20%. And since that, I haven't blown up. So they're getting progressively less. From going from liquidating my entire account twice to then, this was in the first year, right? To then many months went by, and then I had a big mistake and I lost about 40%. And then over a year, a number of years, a year or more. And that one, although it was quite significant in terms of dollars, in terms of my percentage of my net worth, it was 20%. And I remember sitting back and thinking, when I first liquidated my account, it was like 4 figures, right? When I first started out, I just threw some money in. I was just gambling. I was testing the thing out, right? It was way back at the start. And I was like, what I've just lost in dollar terms is so much bigger. But it's such a win. And I genuinely knew that. I knew it because I understand percentages. The first time I lost my entire account, the only reason I lost 4 figures the first time is because that's all I had to put in. Thank God I wasn't some rich kid who had 6 figures to put in at the start, or I would have lost all that because I didn't know what I was doing. But now, then, years on, even though I still wasn't as good a trader as I am now, I wasn't as disciplined, wasn't as emotionally under control, I still managed to get to the point where I just lost 20%. Far more money in dollar terms, way more money. But 20% is 20%. 20% is recoverable. 100% is not recoverable. So this is quite a long one, but it's a topic that really, I feel like people don't consider enough and they don't really understand enough. And so to wrap it all up, failure is a failure of your process, but your process can never fail. Okay? If you have a process, what I just laid out, analyzing, keeping a journal, morning and night, every trade is a thesis, setting every trade up, multiple points of checklist. I have to do the chart 1, chart 2, chart 3. I have to define my risk, stop loss, entry price, take profit, like a robot, bang, bang, bang. That process can never fail. Unless you fail on the process by breaking it. So if that ever happens, remind yourself, I am not a failure. I just didn't follow my process. And then go back to the basics, follow it, make sure it's a longer time until it happens again. Make sure when it happens again, you lose less percentage terms. And that's all you can do. Trial and error. It wouldn't be a game worth playing if there weren't roadblocks along the way, right? If it was easy, everyone would be rich. It's not if, it's when. You're going to fuck up. But this fuck up, I'm hoping for someone who hears this, that your fuck up will be losing 7% 12 months from now on a bad day. Not 100% 3 days from now because you're just gambling, right? One of those is just part of the game. The other one is just reckless stupidity. So you're not a failure. You never were. You just need to go back to your process.
Turn to a million, then we all rich. That's just how I feel. So last one not to get